Good morning. Good morning. My name is Christopher Smitherman. I'm the Vice Mayor of the City of Cincinnati, and I'm certainly very honored to be here this morning with all of you on a celebration and a joyous occasion to celebrate a beautiful man who really gave a lot to Elder. We're going to start off this morning with a prayer from Campus Minister Roger Auer.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Lord, we thank you for this opportunity to stop and remember a man who has been inspirational to all of us. We take this time to celebrate his life, to thank you for the gift that he was to this school, for his history with this school, and for the fact that he was there for all of us when we needed him. We ask that you continue to inspire us by the lead that he gave us, that we will continue to do the work that he was so dedicated to. Amen. I'm going to say a couple of things since I've had the opportunity to say in a number of locations some great things about my friend Mr. Klusman. I'm going to talk a little bit about something that very few people know about, and that is about a house that has been given to Elder High School. It's right up on Seton Avenue. We're calling it the Mark Klusman House. A number of you juniors know what I'm talking about. You've been up there for the last 2 months dragging a lot of the stuff out of it. But it's a joint project that we're doing with Price Hill Will. And we're using some of our grads to help us bring this house back and give it back to the community. And so this is a project, like all of the other projects Elder has been involved in, that Mr. Klusman would be there every Saturday getting dirty with the rest of us. And so I wanted to make sure that people knew that this is a house that, in fact, we are going to complete and give it back to the Price Hill community, to make it affordable for housing for a family right here in our neighborhood. So I'm going to hand it over now to our student council president, Mr. Lou Langen.
All righty, thank you, Mr. Auer. I wanted to talk today about the students' interactions with Mr. Klusman. I know that not all of us knew Mr. Klusman super well, but Mr. Klusman was my faculty advisor, so maybe I talked to him more than the average student did, if only because of the advisor meetings that we had. Mr. Klusman treated me well. He would stop me in the hall and ask about things, always with a sincere interest, or he would tell me about some cool technology, or more often than not, he would leave me with a brain teaser or riddle that I could never figure out. For me, he summed up like this: a good guy, down to earth, generous, and sincere. He was better than most, but at the same time, my other teachers would talk about him with a reverence. There's a cashier at Bob Evans who I ran into, said he met Mr. Klusman only once, and he raved about him. I thought, why is that? It was only in these past few months, after we heard all these stories about him, that I came to understand why he truly deserves this memorial. It was only when we got to hear all the stories that he wouldn't let us tell about him. I discovered that Mr. Klusman went to nearly every cross-country race to take pictures and support the team. I learned that Mr. Klusman would, in the dark of morning, paint over graffiti, which appeared on the side of the Shaper Center for a period of weeks, that is, until Mr. Klusman outlasted the mischievous vandals. How many of us knew that Mr. Klusman would go out of his way to drive a certain student home and to be his friend when he didn't have any? How many of us knew that Mr. Klusman gave back much of his paycheck to Elder a school that he loved with his whole heart. None of us here knew every one of those stories, but every one of us here has our own story. What is your Mr. Klusman story? Did you talk to him in the hall? Did you see him moving chairs after an assembly? Did you work with him side by side at the food and toy drive or a Price Hill cleanup? How did he affect you? What did you learn from your experience with him? From now on, when we walk through these gates, as we begin the school day, when we walk through these gates before a big football game, let's look up at that sign and let's think about what Mr. Klusman meant to us. Let's look up at that sign and be reminded to carry into that building the lessons that he taught us. Thank you, and now I'd like to bring up Vice Mayor Smitherman to give some more remarks.
I think we just heard from the next President of the United States of America. I don't think I can do any better. What a great reflection of leadership for Elder High School. I'm so honored this morning to really bring up a great leader for the city of Cincinnati, our wonderful mayor, John Cranley.
And Christopher's going to join me back up here again. But I also want to make a point that the idea to do this officially on behalf of the city was Councilmember Smitherman's idea. And let's give him a round of applause because it is so richly deserved. And, you know, this is a guy that knows how to acknowledge the great pride in all parts of town. You know, I grew up in Price Hill, and I think we all know that Mr. Klusman had a distinguished look. He was somebody that when you saw, you remembered having seen him. You might pass people that, for lack of a better word, looked like everybody else, but he had his own look. And so, having lived in Price Hill for so much of my life, having spent a great deal of time on this campus, although not as a student, having snuck into the pit as a kid over the fence to play Nerf football, Mr. Klusman was part of the tapestry of my life. I didn't know him that well. I knew him to say hi. But I felt like I knew him because he was in the tapestry of my life. And I knew that he was a good man. And I knew that he was a positive influence on this school, on all of you, and on this city. My brother Mike is an Elder alum, very proudly so, and had Mr. Klusman for homeroom. When Mr. Klusman died, the first thing my brother said was that, when he was hit, the first thing my brother said is, he's such a great guy, I bet he forgives the person who did this to him. And when I was here for the memorial service, I think it was his sister who told me that, in fact, in the hospital bed, he did offer Christian forgiveness for what had happened to him. My brother wants to stand as witness to the fact that he was a good, great man. And he knew him better than I did. But I also got to tell you, as mayor, it is deeply hurtful to me to know that he was literally cleaning up the city when he was killed. Literally picking up trash. Because that's what good citizens do. and we want good citizenship to be rewarded. And I engage in litter pickup. My mother can be seen on most days on West 8th Street, still lives in the St. Williams Parish, cleaning up litter, and we will continue to do that. And we will continue to be good citizens, as we should, and as his life gave us an example to do so. So with that, I'd like to bring Councilman Smitherman back up to read the ordinance that we have already passed.
Thank you very much, Mayor John Cranley. Before I do that, I just want to take a minute to thank a lot of people who made the ordinance come to life and who have been really working with our office to make this day happen. And so I'd like to first acknowledge Tom and Nancy Klusman, the brother of Mark Klusman and sister-in-law. Thank you. Paula Klusman, sister of Mark Klusman, and Jennifer, her partner. Thank you very much. Matt and Renee Klusman, nephew of Mark Klusman. Thank you very much. Tom and Jill Klusman, nephew of Mark Klusman. Thank you very much. Amy and Pat Monger, niece of Mark Klusman. Thank you very much. Principal Kurt Ruffing, thank you very much. Roger Auer, campus minister for Elder High School, thank you very much. And Brian Flaherty, Dean of Students at Elder High School, thank you very much. Very briefly, I was at Jim and Jack's, the owner there, Ennis Jim, and his wonderful sister, his daughter Karen. I was sitting there and I said, you know, I'd like to honor Mark Klusman, and Ennis said immediately, I know the principal, I can make some phone calls, I can make that happen. And that's how this day kind of evolved. And I'm just so glad that you all are here. I'm going to read this ordinance, and my staff will help me present the ordinances, one for the principal and one for the family. If the principal will come forward at this time, and a member or representative of the family. Declaring that Vincent Avenue and Price Hill shall hereby receive the honorary secondary name of Mark Klusman Way by legislative action of the mayor and city council in memory of Mark Klusman in recognition of his lifetime of commitment and contributions to Cincinnati community and to Elder High School, where he had served as an educator and a mentor for 51 years. Whereas Mark Klusman, a beloved member of Price Hill community, was in his 51st year of teaching at Elder High School when he tragically died while participating in a neighborhood cleanup campaign at East Price Hill, along with other Elder staff and students. And whereas the loss of Mark Klusman has deeply impacted all of those who knew him through his distinguished teaching career and extensive volunteer efforts, with prayers and sympathies offered on social media by those in the Elder High School family, as well as representatives of other local schools, including Seton, Mother of Mercy, Oak Hills, LaSalle, Moeller, Coleraine, and many, many others whose lives he has touched. And whereas Mark Klusman was the second of 3 children, a sibling to older brother Tom Klusman and younger sister Paula Klusman, and a caring uncle to Matt Klusman, Renee, Amy Monger, Patrick, and Thomas Klusman, Jill. And whereas Mark Klusman graduated from Elder High School in 1961 with perfect attendance all 4 years, and he graduated from Xavier University with a Bachelor of Science in Economics, earning his Master's of Education degree with a concentration in Social Studies. And whereas Mark Klusman returned to Elder High School to teach American history, beginning in the 1967-1968 school year, and he taught geography, world cultures, morality, economics, and computer science, computer programming. And whereas Mark Klusman served as a moderator for several student organizations, including the Coin Club, Bike Club, Chess Club, and Tie Club, and he was also involved with intramural sports, food, and toy drives, Price Hill community cleanups, and he also served as the activities photographer for Elder High School. And whereas Mr. Klusman was a running, biking, and outdoor enthusiast who was very active with Elder's cross-country team and his annual trips to Michigan. And where Mark Klusman was a parishioner of St. Monica, St. George in Clifton, and a member of Elder's Kairos Seniors Retreat home team, whereby he welcomed home the students, assisted with the closing ceremony, and made the wood Kairos crosses used during the closing ceremony. Mark Klusman was a volunteer with Over the Rhine Community Housing for over 30 years. A recipient of Volunteer of the Year recognition by Keep Cincinnati Beautiful and Over the Rhine Community Housing, and recipient of the Dorothy Stang Award by the Archdiocese of Cincinnati. And Mr. Klusman also worked with Buddy Gray to rehab homes in Cincinnati neighborhoods. And whereas Mark Klusman was a true environmentalist, riding his bike daily to Elder High School and working as an organic gardener in his spare time. And whereas Mark Klusman was a man who lived his life as one of the greatest witnesses to the world by living unity and sharing love with all he encountered, now therefore be it ordained by the Council of the City of Cincinnati that Vincent Avenue in Cincinnati shall receive the honorary secondary name of Mark Klusman Way by legislative action of the Mayor and City Council in memory of Mr. Mark Klusman and recognition of his lifetime of commitment and contributions to the Cincinnati community and to Elder High School, where he had served as an educator and mentor for 51 years. Congratulations. At this time, Mayor and family, we are going to reveal the Mark Klusman Way. And so I'm going to walk behind you there, and we're going to do that unveiling together. We also have honorary signs for members of the family that my staff will present at this time as we unveil the Mark Klusman Way. We will now hear remarks from the family. Representative Tom Klusman.
Good morning. As mentioned, my name is Tom Klusman, class of '83. Mr. Klusman was my Uncle Mark. I want to thank Mayor Cranley, Vice Mayor Smitherman, City Council, and all their staff for allowing this moment to take place today. I want to thank Principal Ruffing, the Elder faculty, and all the students for participating in this great event. I'm humbled to be here today, speaking on behalf of the Klusman family. Over the past 2 months, all of us have heard many awesome stories about the goodness, kindness, humility, and overall Christianity which Uncle Mark exhibited his entire life. He's been a role model and a guiding light. The phrase selected to represent my senior year's football team was, "What I had, I gave. What I saved, I lost." As you know, those words are still displayed on the wall of the volleyball and wrestling gym today. That phrase represented Uncle Mark extremely well. He lived those words each and every day. That phrase is certainly something which I can try to live more each day. He gave so much of his life to this school, this area, this community, and the city of Cincinnati. Uncle Mark did so much behind the scenes, laying low, just getting the job done, taking the pictures. He certainly is being missed. To end, I want to use another quote from the musical Wicked. "So now, it is up to you for both of us. Now it's up to you." Uncle Mark has passed on the torch. Now it's up to us. Make a good day. Altiora, and thank you.
Thank you, Tom. And I want to thank Mayor Cranley, Vice Mayor Smitherman, and Miss Michelle Edwards, who have really done all the work to put this together for us. So let's give them one last round of applause. We've heard the other speakers talk about Mr. Klusman, what kind of guy he was. For all the students here, the faculty and staff, we know what he was like. Some of the public may not know, but he was a true elder man. And we didn't need to look any further than Mark Klusman. He was a forgiving, a loving, compassionate. He was confident. He was respectful, honest, loyal, and a very passionate man. And he had a passion for community service. So to honor Mark, as everyone here at Elder knows, 33 days from now, on Tuesday, April 17th, there will be a day of service. I've had some people tell me that we're crazy to send 800 boys out into the community to do this kind of work. No, we're not crazy. This is what Mark wanted. This was his life. And this is what we teach here at Elder High School, to serve others. That's part of our mission. So we're going to take on this challenge. Students, faculty, and staff will be heading out to over 26 locations in our community to do a day of service. And then upon returning to Elder, we will have a pizza party sponsored by the Klusman family, because that's one of the last things that Mark said when he was in the hospital, is that when he got out of the hospital and returned to Elder, he wanted to throw a pizza party for us for everything that we did for him, supporting him, and the prayers. So we are going to do it, and it is going to be a successful day. So I'm very much looking forward to it. Everyone make a good day. We're going to close this ceremony with our band playing and our glee club singing, and everyone join in our famous, wonderful song, The Alma Mater.
Ready to proclaim thy fame.
Again, thank you for being here. Gentlemen, thank you for your cooperation and your patience. Let's return to classroom.